And a reminder, it is the final week in our Summer of Tire Rack sweepstakes. We've had 2 winners so far that have taken home a set of 4 brand new tires. Anthony K. from Huntingburg, Indiana, and Nelson L. from Roswell, Georgia are the first 2 winners. And one last winner is still up for grabs. Hello, our 3rd winner, that could be you, will be picked on Sunday to win a set of 4 tires plus installation, taxes, and fees, valued at up to $1,500. Enter daily at foxsportsradio.com. Every single day, you get a fresh new entry and an additional chance to win. And it's free to register. To enter and get rules during the final week of the sweepstakes, visit foxsportsradio.com. It's sponsored by TireRack.com, the way that tire buying should be.
The star, Shohei Ohtani. Done as a pitcher. Not done playing. He's going to still hit, but he's done as a pitcher for this season. UCL injury. We talked about that in a previous episode of the show. The very strong possibility that Tommy John is lurking, like the Grim Reaper. Tommy John is lurking there off in the shadows on the horizon. So the reaction, though, is the story. It's fascinating, not surprising, but fascinating. And if you haven't been following along, maybe you had other things going on like a life and you didn't pay attention. But the dramatic messaging. This is devastating, deflating, buzzkill. Terrible day for baseball. Worst day possible for Major League Baseball. We can go on and on. But the general consensus of the Major League Baseball establishment media is that Shohei Ohtani's elbow injury is a sink your battleship situation in baseball, and people very upset, angry, people blaming the Angels. I don't know how it's the Angels' fault that Ohtani's body collapsed, but people are. So let us discuss the question, is this Shohei Ohtani elbow injury catastrophic for baseball as these reports go? So I've got Frenchie, iPhone, and dartboard. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make cadaver ligaments, which is what may be put into Shohei Ohtani's arm. Listen, it's a bummer. It's bad news bears that Shohei Ohtani got hurt. I'm not here to say that this is not not something that is negative, but that being said, I don't have this as a Greek tragedy. I don't. The over-the-top reporting, the breathless reporting where it was like a urinating contest, and people say, I'm more offended than you. I'm more bothered by this. I'm more hurt by this. That kind of stuff just makes me want to puke. Now, I was told by a buddy of mine who's a sports writer that second only to Bruce Springsteen among baseball writers is Shohei Ohtani. The love the baseball writers have, the scribes for Shohei Ohtani. And we enjoyed watching him play when we did. We didn't watch every one of his games. But if you like watching ball, you liked watching the Showtime experience. However, can we interject a bucket of ice water right across the brow? So let me use my Frenchie ability here. I'll speak some French. C'est la vie is the way I would approach the Ohtani injury. That's life. Humans are delicate creatures. Ohtani's body clearly was not built for the long haul. His arm was not, and he already had Tommy John surgery once. Now he's back at it again. So there's a glitch in his thingamajig, and there's a malfunction. It happens. He's not going to be dining at the soup kitchen, and Shohei he'll be okay. He'll be fine. Is there a path for Ohtani to get the record-breaking deal, the dealio? Yes, but it is complicated, right? It's complicated, as most things are. Ohtani needs to find the Slim Reaper plan. Because remember a couple years ago in the NBA, Kevin Durant had a horrific injury for the Golden State Warriors. He became a free agent and skedaddled to Brooklyn. And the Nets paid him the full amount. I think it was 40 or 45 million, something along those lines, while he rehabbed his injury, not playing for the Nets. So is it conceivable that Shohei can get a deep-pocketed sugar daddy type team to just pay him and gamble that he will be able to pitch again as an effective major league pitcher. Others have said Ohtani's going to have to come back as a pitcher, but a relief pitcher. Not sure how that would work. They have the Ohtani rule, but as far as I know, the Ohtani rule only applies if you start the game, not if you come in late in the game. Let's say you pitch the 8th inning and you want to go and then go back and hit. I don't know that rule would apply. But the failure rate, here's the other issue, and there's no way around this. Teams always look at comps. It's like insurance. Insurance companies look at comps. It's like life insurance. You're betting that you're going to live a long time. You're hoping you're going to live a long time. The insurance company also is hoping you're going to live a long time. Otherwise, they don't give you the great life insurance, right? Because if they think you're going to drop dead the next day, then that would be a bad business model. So everyone's like, well, I'm going to live a long time. But just in case. And the older you get, the worse it goes. But the failure rate is overwhelming for players who have had to undergo Tommy John surgery twice in a 5-year span. It is bad is what it is. So, but that's what has happened. That doesn't guarantee it's going to happen again, but there is no beacon of hope on the horizon that you can look to and say, well, you're going to be like this guy because this guy came back and was just as good or better. There is not that guy. Now, page 2 here. Let's go to Atlanta, where the top team in baseball resides, and also a former, briefly, Atlanta pitcher, journeyman MLB pitcher, Jerry Blevins. Good old Jerry Blevins. Now, he recently took a cheap shot at the Braves' Marcel Ozuna, and he was commenting on the many legal issues that Marcel Ozuna has had. Blevins posting on the socials that Marcel Ozuna makes the Atlanta Braves impossible to root for. That Marcel makes a very fun Atlanta Brave team near impossible to root for. That was the actual quote from Blevins, former big league relief pitcher. Now, Ozuna has a checkered resume. Some would say he's more like a football player with his resume than a baseball player, but he has been charged with domestic violence. That was recorded, some of that on camera, in 2021, and then was later withdrawn and was also arrested and charged with DUI in August of last year. So you've got Blevins, the former pitcher, saying, you can't root for the Braves, almost impossible to root for. And then you've got other people in the media who are also saying, you're on to something. Here's the question. Do Atlanta fans care about Marcel Ozuna's shady history? And the answer, and you know what the answer is, it's a bit of a rhetorical question, and I'm shaking my head, no, of course they don't care. But it's always been that way, and as far as I'm concerned, it will always be that way. In my life, it's always been this way. I don't see why it's going to change. It's the same old song and dance. It's hitting the iPhone repeat function when you're listening to music. A player can be the biggest scumbag out there, a social deviant, but as long as that player is wearing your laundry, we're good. That's how it's always been. I don't see that change. 98, maybe 99% of fans are just kind of, hey, whatever. You're worried about your own life. I get it. You're just tune in for some games, get a little relief there. In theory, if they're not shoving some kind of woke crap down your throat, you're just trying to enjoy a ball game. That's it. And then if you happen to have a creeper on your team, you downplay and you move on. Great example of this, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Brown fan base tore apart Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers all those years and just goofed on him. So then they acquired a guy who's, the creepy quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who had his own petting zoo that he was running there, and they love him. There's no real pushback. But as far as the media backlash with Marcel Ozuna, it has not spilled over to the fan base. The Braves have the top team record-wise in baseball, and it's like in politics and sports, it's the same thing. The great quote from Donald Trump when he was running for president the first time, where he said he could have stood on the middle of Fifth Avenue there and shot somebody, and he wouldn't lose any voters. Well, Marcel Ozuna is he's a bit of a tool bag, but he hits a lot of home runs, And as long as he's wearing the Atlanta Braves hat, then he's protected. We're good. All right, last word here. So let's go to Washington, D.C. What do you say? And what is the lesson from the news that Steven Strasburg's career is now over? He hadn't really pitched much in years, and he is retiring via injury. So the lesson on my big board, not your big board, my big board, the lesson is projections are the devil's playground. Projections are like tuchuses. Everyone has them, and they all stink, right? As a version of the quote we're not allowed to say. But it's flawed science. It's always been flawed science. It will always be flawed science. And you get the dartboard out, and you have a couple of red breast drinks like Paul in Rhode Island there, and you blindfold yourself, and then you start throwing darts at the dartboard. Because ultimately, nobody knows anything. There are many unforeseen variables, like having a career-altering injury and not being able to pitch for the last 3 years of your career. Strasburg's career overall was a success, but it wasn't an all-time great career. He was effective, but he did not come close to touching the rarefied air of the Goldilocks zone. He briefly touched it, but he didn't stay there very long. He was the first overall pick in 2009, and he had a good ERA, pitched in 247 games, I believe it was. Didn't win a Cy Young Award. His career crumbled right after the 2019 World Series, where he happened to be the MVP. He only started 7 more games after that. But Strasburg did get not the Goldilocks zone, but he got the golden parachute. $196 million and counting, plus endorsements. He's also fully vested in the Major League Baseball pension plan, so he's got that, not that he needs it. And he's 35 years old, and he never has to work again. He never has to work again, and he'll live the life of Riley, and he can decide, do I want to go out today and play golf? Maybe I'll go out and play pickleball, but I'd be a loser if I did that. So why would I do that? I don't know.